Hi everyone, my name is Kirsten, and for our book talk assignment this week, I decided to read Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I chose this book for a couple reasons. The main one is I work in HR, I love HR, and something that I've always been super fascinated and interested with is people's why. Why do they want to be in the position that they're in? Why did they choose this major in college? Why are processes in an organization put in place, and who does it benefit? There's so many things that really are rooted in our why. So, going into the book, the whole message of, Start With Why by Simon Sinek is it's kind of built around one idea, and it's that truly inspiring leaders and organizations tend to communicate and operate from the inside out. They start with this concept of their why instead of focusing on what they do. So, one of the clearest ways that Sinek explains this is through what he calls a golden circle. A golden circle, he kind of goes into describing and saying that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And so the center of that circle is why, your purpose, your cause, your belief, how it represents the actions that bring you to life, and then what is the result. Most companies communicate from the outside in, but there are great examples that replicate this approach, one of them being Apple. They are always known to start with why. Sinek then kind of takes this idea even further by showing the golden circle in 3 dimensions. So he explains that the golden circle can be interpreted as a cone or a megaphone, with the leaders being at the top representing the why, the how level teams building the structure beneath them, and then what at the bottom where the organization speaks to the outside world. He writes, for a why to have the power to move people, it must not only be clear, it must be amplified. And this visual kind of helped me understand this megaphone concept and why leaders have to embody the why so that the organization entirely knows how to communicate it. One of my biggest takeaways was the connection between the golden circle and biology. He explains that the why corresponds actually to our limbic brain, the part that controls feelings, decision making, and not language. So, while the what corresponds to the neocortex, which handles logic and facts. And Sinek says that this is why it's hard to articulate our purpose, is because the part of the brain that really controls our feelings has no capacity for language. And this kind of just helped me understand this concept is very real, and it's not just philosophical, it's actually biologically ingrained in us. Another key takeaway was a section that he wrote about success versus achievement. He goes to say that achievement is something that you reach or attain, success is a feeling, and that really stood out to me because he explained and showed a lot of examples that companies often lose their why once they start to grow and they start chasing metrics instead of their meaning. And then lastly, there was a story about Ben Komen, who was a very powerful example in the book, and also I feel like I learned a lot of takeaways from. And Sinek uses Ben, who is a cross-country runner with cerebral palsy, and he uses him to show that when you compete against others, no one really wants to help you, but when you compete only against yourself, everyone wants to help you. And Sinek writes, when you compete against everyone else, no one wants to help you, but then when you compete against yourself, everyone wants to help you. And that lesson really kind of just ties directly back to purpose and staying grounded in your why. Going into would I recommend this book? I absolutely would. I think it was simple but thorough, and it really kind of fundamentally changed how I think about leadership from the ground up. It involves motivation, decision making, and really kind of just pushes us as readers to get a clear understanding of what drives us so we can inspire others, not just manage them. I think as a whole, leaders can learn a lot from this book, especially in a world where people want meaning and connection more than ever. And if leaders can clearly communicate their why and also live it consistently, they'll build trust, loyalty, and long-term impact.